Central Florida's restaurant scene is as dynamic as ever. On this edition of Orlando Sentinel Snapshot, we'll take a look inside our local foodie culture and explore the growing culinary trends of 2017. I'm Kayla O'Brien with the Orlando Sentinel, reporting from Dovecote Brasserie in downtown Orlando. Pull up a chair as we ride along with a local company that's peddling a unique eatery-to-doorstep delivery service. Then there's a new guy in the kitchen. We chat with food celebrity Guy Fieri about his role at a revamped Disney Springs restaurant. And foodie hubs continue to pop up as locals flock to these tasty meccas to experience new flavors and find unique ingredients. Then, get your hands dirty with a local food scientist who's defying the odds and changing the beer industry. And after all this talk about food, we'll head back into Dovecote's Kitchen to sample a signature dish. But before we dive into these topics, let's talk about the Orlando Sentinel Foodie Awards. These awards shine a spotlight on some of the best that Central Florida's restaurant scene has to offer. And I have food writer Lauren Delgado here to talk about it. So what are these awards and how are the winners chosen?
So like you said, they highlight the best of the best in Central Florida. And local restaurants, they have two chances to impress. They can impress our raters or they can impress me, or both of us.
Impress you. So you must have been eating all year preparing for these awards.
Yes, I'm on a Foodie Award cleanse. There's a lot of spinach involved, a touch of quinoa, but honestly, it was a great year. I mean, I got to experience some of the best in Central Florida and the best dining experiences.
So the ballot featured 63 categories, everything from best coffee house to best sandwich to best overall restaurant. What are some of the new categories this year?
So one of my favorites is Central Florida Gem, and I kind of imagined it as a place you would take some visitors to get them like a real taste of Central Florida and some of the best stuff that we have around. For me, that meant Chef's Table at the Edgewater in Winter Garden. For our readers, that meant the Vineyard Wine Company in Lake Mary. My second favorite category, which is very Central Florida, it's worth the drive. It's hard for us to get out of our neighborhood, so these restaurants are more than worth it. For me, that was 1921 by Norman Van Aken, and for our readers, that was, again, the Vineyard Wine Company in Lake Mary.
So were there any surprises?
No major surprises. I was pleasantly surprised that our readers went for more local picks. We still have our chains in there, but they definitely opted for our tried and true gems.
So what about the big winners?
So for newcomer, our readers went with Earl's Kitchen and Bar at the Mall of Millennia. I went with Dovecote. And for best overall restaurant, our readers went with Earl's Kitchen and Bar, while I went with Victoria and Albert's at Disney's Grand Floridian Hotel. I had an amazing meal there.
Well, thank you, Lauren, for being here with us. And for a complete list of the Foodie Award winners, go to orlandosentinel.com. Diners, drive-ins, and dives, host and restaurateur Guy Fieri is revamping the Planet Hollywood menu at Disney Springs. We caught up with him while he was in town. He's the mayor of Flavor Town, and now he's in O-Town here at the Planet Hollywood Observatory at Disney Springs. Welcome, Guy Fieri. Chef, restaurateur, author, and host Guy Fieri is bringing his culinary point of view to Central Florida.
So my buddy Robert Earl says, listen, we're going big at Planet Hollywood in Orlando. So what do you say we have you do the burger part of the menu for us and some sandwiches? This is not a drive-through burger by any means. No. You got the mayor of Flavortown, you got the tatted up turkey, you got the ringer, you got the mac and cheese burger.
Why do you think Orlando is the perfect place to have a restaurant like this, to have food like this, to have you involved? Why do you think this is the town to have it?
I'll tell you what it is. You've got a lot of attention in Orlando. You got a lot going on. You have people from all over the world coming here. This is a real destination. And when you start pumping that much energy and that much money and that many different influences, it becomes this melting pot. So now you start to get all of this influence of food. I don't think it will be long until people start really recognizing how much uniqueness that you have going on in the food in the food program.
This is not your first rodeo. You've been a restaurateur for a while now. Do you think celebrity chefs are really taking off? Because we have a bunch of different celebrity chef restaurants, even in Disney Springs. Do you think people really respond to it?
Chefs are becoming, in their own way, rock stars, and having fans follow them, not just for, hey, I went to the restaurant, ate, but I want to see more of what this person's doing.
And you are really a part of every single menu item that came from your heart and your mind and your hands at some point.
In my wild imagination, trust me, they get weird. I've got a lot of different facets to my culinary portfolio. How was that? That was like real
That
reporter.
was very reporter, very newspaper, which is
that just in. Yes.
Well, thank you so much around the world and now in Orlando, Guy Fieri.
You got it going.
Pleasure.
See you later.
Local food hubs are quickly replacing grocery stores for foodies' go-to place to experience new flavors, find inspiration and discover new ingredients, and I have restaurant reporter Kyle Arnold to talk about this new trend. So what are food hubs?
Food hubs are these markets where you can put everything under one roof, from restaurants to local products and experts that can really show you about local food and ingredients.
So where can we find a food hub right now?
There are 4 in Orlando, 2 near downtown, Market on South and the North Quarter Market. And then up in Audubon Park, there's the oldest one, East End Market. And out in Winter Garden, there's Plant Street Market, which is a really cool new hub.
Now, are all these grocery stores, would you say?
They're not even close to grocery stores. While you can find some local ingredients, one you can find produce, there's even a meat market at the other. You can't go there and fill up your cart. But what you can find is some inspiration, some new dishes, some unique ingredients that you really have a harder time finding at a normal grocery store.
Now, you mentioned unique. What are some of the unique things you can find at these places?
Well, it's somewhere like East End Market. One of my favorites is Gideon's Bakehouse, where they have these giant cookies with these kind of crazy ingredients in them. There's also a barbecue sauce place, a bakery, and there's even a woman who calls herself the Cheese Wench, who brings cheeses from all over the world and can really give you the unique flavors from different places.
So the big question is, will we see more of these in Central Florida anytime soon?
It's definitely popular with developers. There's something in Maitland called Maitland City Center that's supposed to be coming with a food hall that's supposed to be a little more restaurant-centric, and also something at the Creative Village here near the proposed UCF downtown campus that's also supposed to bring kind of a food hub, food hall atmosphere.
Well, I can't wait for that. Kyle Arnold, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you can't have a meal without something to wash it down with, right? A group of local researchers have grown an important ingredient found in beer that's never grown in Florida before. Floridians love beer, but until recently, we haven't been able to grow one of its most important ingredients.
I realized the importance of hops and what they play in the overall flavors and aromas of beer. And I wondered, well, could they be grown here so I could have my own local fresh hops?
The answer was surprisingly yes.
And now I've got more hops than I know what to do with. Like, if I brewed with as many hops as we're producing, I would be into AA very quickly.
Hops are typically grown in the Pacific Northwest of the U.S. Until these guys tried it, Florida was never considered a viable place for them to grow.
And many of the things that I was told that they could not grow, they would not grow, they would not flower, they would be overcome by disease and pest, did not occur in that time.
What did happen will make local beer lovers very happy.
In this past couple of months, particularly this last week, we've seen the highest yields to date. We're finding some of that, replicating that, putting that back into our farmers and growers' hands, and to see them cultivate then at a large scale in our state to have Florida hopped beer, that is a major goal of mine.
Red Light is the first to brew with these local hops.
We, as brewers, love to use local ingredients, and for us it's usually some sort of tropical fruit. It's the only thing that we can really add to the beer. It's kind of cool to be able to use a key ingredient.
And a beer with Florida-grown hops will taste different than any other currently out there.
It's like wine. You use different grape varietals of grape, it's going to be a completely different wine. You use different hop varietals, it's going to be a completely different beer.
The limited edition bottles will be available soon, and a purchase will help further this research.
And they've been gracious enough to even donate money from the sale that back to us. Those interested in also assisting with funding or even volunteering at times to come harvest or work the plants and learn about them. Obviously, we're here to facilitate that as well. I would appreciate it.
2016 saw an explosion in quick online food delivery. Everything from groceries to alcohol to meals is now just a click away. We followed a local company who's finding room at the table despite big competition. Rich Pope reports.
Like that competition in the food delivery business, owner and operator of Brick Road Courier Brett Moose relies on a solid set of wheels. But in his opinion, less is more.
Traffic doesn't really exist for a bike messenger. You can get on the sidewalk or you can go in between cars, and it's a lot more efficient and you can get there in half the time. Like, more cases than not, our delivery drivers are at the restaurant before the food is even ready to go.
Today, Pig Floyd's, the popular Orlando restaurant on Mills Avenue, is what I have a taste for.
Okay, what may I get for you today?
Let's see, I'll take the Big Floyd, and let's do a side of wok-fired vegetables.
And what's next for you?
How about a pork belly taco and a chicken al pastor taco?
Okay.
I gave my address, and the rest was taken care of behind the scenes like magic.
Hey Brett, it's Jim from Pig Floyd. We have a delivery order for you. It's going to Orange Avenue. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.
This time around, I'm following my order all the way through to see how long it really takes. For Pig Floyd's owner, the delivery trend is welcome.
In this world we live in that's so fast-paced, people don't have the time. Last night we were discussing with a friend, he got hungry at 1 in the morning and he used Uber Eats.
But he makes every effort to make sure not to lose focus.
if you do those delivery systems, that you run a pretty tight operation in terms of delivery. It attracts them too to come to the restaurant because they feel they're not gonna wait that long if they do come into the restaurant to eat.
In less than 10 minutes, my order is ready to go and already out the door. In this growing world of food delivery services, Brick Road Courier is finding success with less, even among major competition.
It's big competition. I think it is also conditioning people to want and to expect delivery, and I think it's actually helping us out.
For Pig Floyd owner, Brick Road Courier not only delivers food, but a better option for his restaurant.
They charge the customer a fee, and they don't charge us. The other companies, you know, Uber Eats, Amazon, all charge us a fee, you know, a really, really high fee.
And keeping a 3-mile distance between local restaurants and who they deliver to means less hassle getting a hot meal to your doorstep.
Nobody wants their food cold. No one wants it soggy. They want it there in a timely manner. So a 3-mile radius kind of ensures like that we can get it there within like the 45-minute window that we ensure our deliveries.
And for the record, Brick Road Courier got my food here in less than 35 minutes. With it that convenient, it almost gets a little too easy to get in the habit of eating at my desk. And I don't know how I feel about that.
All this talk about food has got me hungry. Let's see what the Foodie Award winner for Newcomer of the Year, Dovecote Brasserie, has to offer. So tell us about the Dovecote menu before we get started here.
Well, welcome to the Dovecote Kitchen. Our menu is French inspired. We take a lot of classic dishes, put our kind of twist on it.
So what are you going to be cooking for us today?
Well, an example of what I was just talking about, where we took a classic French dish, which is called bouillabaisse. You know, it's a fish stew. Depending on kind of where you come from in the Mediterranean, you can kind of have a different version of that. So that's what we're going to work on today. So I'm going to walk you through our version of it.
Okay.
Some of the ingredients that we have here, some mussels, clams, octopus, shrimp. You know, in southern France, you find things like fennel, tomatoes, you know, basil, parsley, and so on. So we've put some vegetables in here as well.
Beautiful.
I don't want to say the star of the show, but it's all about the broth of the soup. And so in our case, we make this with a lot of the things that I just talked about. And we're going to take some of our actual bouillabaisse liquid. We're going to put actually a couple drops of water because this is going to steam as well. And all we're trying to do is gently warm the shellfish as well as the vegetables. And then we got our fennel, carrots, tomatoes.
And look at that color.
We have our shellfish here that's steamed through. We got our vegetables. And now we're going to go ahead and start cooking our haddock. We'll season our fish lightly with a little bit of salt, and we'll get a nice sear on that.
Yeah.
Add a little bit of butter.
That's what I like.
Let that butter brown. We'll go ahead and get our fish flipped. And now we'll go ahead and baste our fish. It's got a nice texture to it. We'll turn kind of flaky.
Look at that.
All right.
So we're really close to the end. What's next?
We're going to start right here. I have crab salad. So all this is really is crab, garlic, mayonnaise, and a little bit of herb. And then we'll go ahead and take our vegetables, fennel, 2 pieces of that. We have some purple carrot, and then we have some oven-dried tomatoes. We're just going to start with our shellfish and kind of just keep building this up. We got some octopus and clams. Then we have our roasted haddock. Something that is almost always seen in a bouillabaisse is a crostini, and it has what is called in French a rouille, which is a fancy way of saying garlic mayonnaise. So we're going to put that right off into the side here. And then we're going to take our saffron scented bouillabaisse broth or our fish stew. Just give it a little bit of a buzz to make sure it's emulsified.
Okay.
And because this is a stew, this isn't just like a drizzle of a sauce around. We really want to get some of the broth in there. And then we're going to garnish that with a little bit of crispy parsley. And that is going to do it after one last thing. little
There's
drizzle.
Always a little more.
Gotta have lots of olive oil.
And voila.
And that is it. I swear that's it.
Oh my gosh, that's so
there we
pretty.
go.
All right, I'm going for it.
Go for it.
That's really good. Very light, like you said.
Yeah, it's meant to be. A lot going on in there, but very, very light, not too heavy.
That's so good. Thank you so much, Chef Miller. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us here in your kitchen, and thank you so much for joining us for exploring Central Florida dining on Orlando Sentinel Snapshot. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you next time. Join us next month as Orlando Sentinel Snapshot turns the focus to Orlando City Soccer as they take to the pitch in their brand new stadium.